It's a pretty light meeting today, and there are no public representations, so it should be a short meeting. I'm going to ask things with Tarek here, and then I think we should run around the table just to so everyone knows everyone. Okay.
Tēnā tātou koe ngā kaimahi o tātou kainga o Waikato me Kirikiri ro. Me o ngā ope wai, IAWAI. Hei timata o tātou hui tēnei rā, i te timatanga o te ope wai, te wai o Waikato, te hapuri, te wai Māori ki I Karapiro, I tēnei ata, te apowhiritia, te hapu iwi o ngā ti kureki kaukura, ki ngā iwi, ki ngā kaunehera o tēnei ope wai. Engari, ki mai ki tēnei hui, kariki a tātou. Mā te ata tātou katoa. Honewe, hei kororia, mangano, whenua, kāpai. Tāmata katoa. Te atua humai ki a mātou, ka te wairota. Ko tēnei ka papa, te tū whakamaua ki tīna.
Tīna.
Haumi e hui e.
Tāki e.
Kia I just opened up acknowledging that whilst we're looking to be launched at Karapiro, which is an appropriate place, Karapiro, significant for the iwi of Waikato Tanui and the Tāngata Whenua there. Te kureki kaukura will be working on not just the council who will make up that UCCO, but also all the iwi as well. And I understand it's quite a significant amount of iwi. So we wish them all the best in their journey, and that, I think you said that yesterday too, Kevin, that we have been working together and will continue.
That's cool. We'll just go around the table. I think everyone is pretty familiar, but just work. Becky, do you want to start? We're just going to go around the table.
Oh, yeah. Good evening, everyone. My name is Victoria. I am the Assistant Director for IAWAI.
Helping with the multi-services strategy, so comment from WDC to IAWAI.
Kia ora te iwi, ko Toronto ko e hua, hei kaimahi mō te kainihera takiwa o Waikato. So, my name is Ron, I'm an Infrastructure Development Advisor at Waikato District Council.
Nick Birdsall, Growth Implementation Manager, Waikato District.
Kia ora, Andrew Parsons, IAWAI.
Kia ora, Peter Linder, Program Director.
Kia ora, Natasha Yarrow, IAWAI.
Kia ora, Greg Carstens, Commercial and Analytics. In the growth group, I guess my relevant areas here is commercial agreements and ensuring growth based on growth.
All right, great. So without further ado, we'll run into the agenda proper. There are no apologies. Are there any declarations of interest? On the minutes, are the board content that they're a fair record and we can sign them off?
Yes, just one point, if I could, I just wonder if we should append the written responses to the public deputations to the minutes, just for completeness.
Well, funnily enough,
So that went out, which was great to be copied in. Thank you, I just wondered for completeness.
so funnily enough, Natasha and I were talking about that. I'm going to have a conversation in public excluded, but you know,
Okay.
We thought we should be transparent about that anyway.
Yeah.
Generally, so that we would put them on our website, you know, going forward.
Sure.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay. So we signed the minutes off. In terms of the public forum, there aren't any public representations today, and then we have my report. Normally I don't say anything, but I did think there were a few things just to update. Yeah, if I can find it. Yeah, the first one is on the growth front. I understand that the government have announced that they're going to defer the growth levy legislation, which is quite significant, isn't it? So that really underlines the need to do the plan B that we discussed in that workshop the other day. which is to aim for 2027 harmonised arrangements of development contributions. I don't know the thinking behind the deferral, but I was told that it's to do with they want to have proper consultation with councils over what's in the legislation, but I don't know whether there's anything more to it than that. The reality was, because it was scheduled for next year, there was a bit of risk around it anyway, which is why we discussed what we discussed, and that's now come to pass. But that's significant. I think the second thing to mention is we did have a brief discussion with our shareholder forum yesterday, and there was quite a bit of discussion around the importance of renewals. It's obviously a big part of the infrastructure deficit. When people worry about evaluations, all that's just the analysis side. You know, what are you going to do to address the problem that actually comes down to accelerating renewals? So this is an area that we do want to focus on. We want this an early win for IAWAI, and we're exploring the idea of having a strategic partnership in the renewal space, so that we're really getting the private sector to invest in and be ready to get on and do stuff at scale and at pace. And Andrew's working on this, and we will be coming back, I'm guessing before Christmas, on this very topic for a decision, really.
Yes, the intention is aspirational is to hit the November board meeting with a proposal around procurement approach.
Yeah.
It's a burning platform because we do not have much time. The first of the main renewal contracts, the existing contracts, lapses in June next year.
Yeah.
Right. The second lapses in December next year, and so on.
And it would be great to get something absolutely in place well ahead of the 1st of July. You know, so it's a key area for me, and I'm sure Tim and David would support that strongly. And the third area is IT, where we are working closely with Taronga and Western Bay, and we are going to be, we've started to explore doing the same with Carol Waters as well, to get together a fit-for-purpose IT platform, digital platform for the future. And we expect to really make a decision on what the answer is, again, this side of Christmas. It's not something we're going to be doing for the 1st of July, but it's something we've got to be clear what the direction of travel is sooner rather than later, because it will have a long lead in time. So again, that's another one to watch. Are there any other questions or issues that anyone wants to raise in relation to that report?
I did have, so one correction, but just building on the renewals conversation, I'd be really keen to see whether the team can put a peg in the ground about how renewals will reduce either OPEX or unplanned CAPEX from burst pipes, and so that unplanned maintenance.
So
if that's hitting the OPEX, if we're going to spend this capital on a renewals program, which I fully endorse, it should show up somewhere in our operating costs, because if it's not, why would we spend the money if it isn't breaking? So there's that combination, that whole thing.
So looking at where we are in terms of the current position, and where we should be in terms of an optimal position of more plan rather than
and it might not show up for 5 years, but sort of in the whole financial modelling.
No, it's a good
capital and incur the cost. What's the OPEX implication through that? Not just the capital procurement. If it's just about procurement, no problem. But if it's going to capital budgeting, etc., to see that other side of the equation. Just about the digital, I can't help myself where it says that Watercare has given notice to withdraw the service. Seems I actually wrote that letter. Well, I didn't write it. The governance team did, but I signed it. That just a small correction. It's not withdrawn for Taronga. It is coming to an end. So Taronga signed a 5-year deal that expires in 2026, and so the deal that was negotiated for 5 years has been honoured, but there was no rights of renewal. There was nothing else. It was a fixed term agreement and it's finishing. So it isn't being withdrawn, and I can say that because we had some requirements about what that was all public information.
We'll,
So the word withdrawn.
we'll correct
Got
that.
my idea saying as I wrote it, saying, we just let you know that you should be working something out yourselves.
We'll correct that in a minute. The point is though, we've
Yes.
got a burning platform.
Yes, the support is ending as per the contract, but it doesn't get to say that. It's just-
Cool.
Thank you.
Any other observations or comments? No. All right, cool. Let's move on to Peter's progress update. You can assume, Peter, that everyone's read the paper, but over to you.
Thank you. I suppose the best place to start is there are 287 working days to go. And they disappear very quickly. Second thing, next month we will do a slightly fuller and more forward-looking approach that will include a Gantt chart so that you get a clearer sense of what remains to be done in order to get us to 1 July. And the third point I suppose to highlight is, for me at the moment, a good day is a day where we don't identify something that we haven't previously thought of. But most days we do somewhere in the detail. And to give you an example of that, in the complexities of land ownership or the way in which land that is used for water purposes is held, both councils have significant amounts of land that are held under the Reserves Act for water purposes. There is little chance of us transferring the ownership of that for 30 June. So as we scramble our way through that, it becomes, okay, the transfer agreement therefore needs to preserve the rights to occupy and use the space, and there'll need to be an agreement about the mechanism that's used to unwind things over a period of time. So I suppose that's a really good example of where, for some things, it will not be all done and dusted on the 30th of June. There will be some things that will need to run on for a period of time, and land will be the most complicated.
And we are going to have some messy areas where there's multiple use of sites, etc.
So, and the solution for those will be not to try to unscramble who owns what, but to ensure that IAWAI has the rights to use and occupy that it needs to be.
We just need a healthy dose of pragmatism.
So we would
just building on that, probably with the words at no cost.
So at no cost or at a cost that fits within the current allocation of overheads to waters is the approach that we're adopting. So in the whole shared services framework, rather than get into a nickel and diming about what this costs or that costs, the approach we're adopting broadly is to say, does the level of service and support that the council will be providing broadly match the level of allocated overhead that is currently the case? And if it is, then we will use that allocation of overhead as the basis for the charge going forward. Given that the shared services framework is intended to last no more than 5 years, and for many things no more than 3 years, we don't want to create a whole complicated charging regime.
From a forward-looking perspective up north, Water Care paid construction rent on reserves allocated by the local boards, but Healthy Waters did not for stormwater. So if you were laying down areas for pipes and you took half a reserve, and Water Care's annual rent bill was approaching $3 million to council for construction purposes, whereas Healthy Waters just went, well, we're not paying. So it ended up as a significant cost. So not just operate, but actually, if we're constructing assets and it's on reserve, and one was the residence was the use of some grass for a while. It was always had to be reinstated. That was how we did it, but actually that rental, they were charging commercial rent is to a CCO.
And the other piece that is like that is around Puketi, for instance, where the land is held under reserve, and the intention to expand the plant is across the road on a part of the reserve.
Yes, yeah. I
We need
remember
to
the
secure
proposal.
the rights to do all of that as part of what we're doing now,
Yeah.
rather than have a second place.
And that's a big ticket item.
So it's not just the land that is currently occupied, it's any land that is held for the intention of being occupied.
I think, Peter, what we probably,
Yeah.
this is a sort of second order issue, and it probably needs to be timed based on the team making progress through the list of items. But I think it would be helpful at some stage, probably informally, to look at the big ticket list and sort of see, are there any issues here? Are there any alarm bells, et cetera, et cetera?
So in the overall framework of the transfer
Yeah.
agreement, it's an agreement that needs to be signed off by both councils, but also by you.
Yeah.
So we will, as we firm up what it looks like and what the schedules to it look like, we will have to have a series of deep dives that explore for you what it is that you're getting and how it has to go.
Cool.
I think the matter you raised, about construction footprint is highly relevant for this issue.
Well, for the growth and, I was thinking 2.5 billion of growth capex, the laydown areas and things have to go somewhere. And of course, we have to charge the residents for that, to get that back, and sort of one pocket to another, really.
Okay, noted. Anything else, Peter?
So there are a range of other complexities in terms of what we do. The current major focus is on nailing the shared services framework.
Yeah.
How that works, what's in scope, what's not in scope, what that means. There are a number of legal questions that we're pursuing to make sure that we've got things right. The most critical of those is the ability of the councils to bill on behalf of the IAWAI and being confident that we construct the invoices in a way that is legal. What we're trying to achieve is confidence in the ability of the councils to include water charges as a line item on the rates demand. Not rate, they're a charge. There are other charges that are included on rates demand currently. If we are able to do that, that means we can use all of the current council direct payment, direct debit arrangements without having to stand up new ones. And that's critical in terms of the ability to have revenue security for next year. So that's the key piece of legal advice we're now seeking. We expect that in the next week, and then we'll be able to take the next steps. And then the other key next piece will be the announcement at the end of this month to all of the staff about the process that will be used to complete the analysis and then the subsequent appointment on who goes where across the 3
Just on the shared services, Peter, I know obviously we're doing a pilot around metering at the moment. Probably will have some proposals following that pilot sometime early in 2026 around, on the assumption that they're recommending in favour. We go through some sort of phasing, and it's actually then beginning to understand what the impact will be on the shared service arrangement, because effectively we will be moving to some, if on the assumption we do move to metering, it will be phased in. It will effectively have 2 systems that have to sort of live side by side, and the dynamics will change over time, won't they? And then what are the implications for the shared services arrangement on that as well?
So the shared services framework is at the cosy family end of things rather than the highly prescriptive contractual end of things. It's all intended that there is a progressive migration that provides time for the councils to deal with stranded overheads and recognises that there are big business model decisions that IAWAI needs to make, and water meters is one of them, but there are others that will impact the nature of shared services and what's required when. the key principle in that is that everybody has sufficient time on both sides to deal with that.
To adjust.
And,
Okay, any questions or observations?
At our shareholders from yesterday, the members of that forum wanted a document that outlines all the key issues, key risks. I think your attachment is probably correct for them.
yeah. Well, there are others, this is the highest level, so, I mean,
Yeah.
this is right through in 8 work streams. Each work stream has its own critical path, and there's the critical path as it all comes together, so it's
I mean, we
a
did,
large beast.
we did have a conversation, didn't we, about some sort of dashboard for establishment with some sort of traffic light. I mean, most of the material is here. It's a sort of visual representation of it as to whether, you know, we have the key areas and some sort of assessment, whether it's red, amber or green, and some commentary next to it, probably as a sort of standard report coming up.
We'll see what we can do. There is a similar version that is a lot more detailed that's going to the 3 chief executives and the program control group on a fortnightly basis.
Yeah.
They're ready to understand and what legal do you need to have.
So I was going to say, my view on this, I'd be interested in what Dave and Tim think, would be something that's quite helicopter, high level, key areas, traffic light analysis with a bit of commentary, but where something has gone red, there's an exception report or whatever addressing how we're going to fix it, basically. Maybe that's an approach rather than asking for all of the detail on all of the areas. Or maybe where something is going from green to amber, you know, it's picking the exceptions and drilling down.
Somewhat, I'm a bit different.
Yeah, you want the detail?
Not really detail, I'd love to see it just appendix, just from an oversight and ideally from a congratulatory point of view, to go, well, here's all the 300 things on a Gantt chart, and this is when it should be done by. Yes, they are done, because devil will be in the detail, and I take the part of my responsibility is making sure that those things are done. And yes, have full trust and confidence in the team, so it's not about that, but from that oversight of it and
transparency,
you know, things can trip us up. I'd be more than happy. It probably fits in the non-public space because because of some of the strategic.
Well, we can.
But just to utilise the materials the team have to go, well, here's all the things that are being done. And then I suppose I'm selfish. I was talking to a councillor or a mayor, and we could say, well, there are 300 things the team are working on, and they've got to hit these mile dates, and it's all got to fit together like a jigsaw puzzle for it to work. You know, it's a big thing that the team are doing. So not necessarily for discussion or anything, but actually to go, here's all the stuff, and yes, we're on track, or no, we missed it by a week. Because these programs, the date that isn't moving is 1 July next year.
At the same time,
that ain't moving.
Yeah, at the same time, I don't want the team doing a special report for us.
No, I agree with that.
It's sort of,
idea.
The good thing is that you do a detailed report. So probably the starting point would be just to make sure we're comfortable with that template. And that's the best way to find out is to come back at the next.
We'll do something, come back and that it's.
And we'll show the
review it. I mean, my sense is because of the approaches that both councils have taken historically to managing things. Gantt charts are not normally the way that something like this has been managed. So yes, we have some. They're not necessarily as well advanced as they would expect, and we need to address that. So that will be a healthy discipline for us in terms of where we're at.
But I think where something, even in the Gantt chart, where something's running off, you know, we actually drill down in that.
That's the piece that could be a voiceover or a creation.
And the key thing in that is there are some things that may be running over and it doesn't matter. And there are others that are
such as the land one
we have a solution to how we deal with the land one that we can complete in the time.
and there'll be drop dead dates. And, so the question I was really going to ask, because I think it's fabulous work, is are you getting what you need from us?
Yes, and
Okay, that's an answer, thank you.
Well, one of the nice things about designing a really small team to do this from the IAWAI side is it's nimble and quick and answers are quick.
Okay.
It is more difficult to get decisions from either of the councils because of the nature of the multiplicity of decision makers that you would.
Thank you. Thanks, Ken.
And yeah, we might want to come back to that when we talk to our shareholders about what we do for a full board going forward, because actually there are some choices there about how big that is.
Yeah, and I was going to almost sit off the back of the conversation that Natasha was having with Dave before the meeting started around the structure and nature of the Waikato board. Is I think it would be very helpful for the three of you to say this is what you think would be necessary. So
Yeah.
as an input to the recruitment process
and decisions. Yeah, I certainly think we should be given advice. Any other points on Peter's report? Cool. Well, it's we'll note that there are no decisions required, and we're going to move on to an update on the water services strategy. This is going to be our key set of decisions for the 26-27 year really in this and beyond in the water services strategy. We will need to update it again the following year with both councils aligned with both councils to 10-year plans, but also probably in the light of a harmonised development contribution policy as well. That's going to be one of the key elements of it, isn't it? Again, I shall assume that people have read the report. Are there any things you want to highlight?
Thank you, Chair. Look, I mean, taking the report is read just by way of a verbal update. So the recast of the Capital Works program and the first cut of it is almost done, and that's going to go into the financial modelling process of the next week or so. And there will be a deep dive on this on the 2nd of October. So we'll present both the recast Capital Works program, Andrew will, and the financial implications of that. We've also commenced work on the price path modelling, and Peter will be convening a deep dive on pricing on the 9th of October, so we'll be able to provide a bit more detail on that then. Also, you'll be aware, I think you alluded to it earlier, the financial deep dive workshop, which was held on 4th of September, and that highlighted a need to shift to a more outcome-driven financial strategy, which will be put by the finance team. And then the developing contributions and growth deep dive workshops, which were held last week, also provides a good steer for the strategy. Otherwise happy to take any questions or comments, Chairperson.
So any observations or questions for Vishal?
Sorry, I may just mention that we're still working to have this draft strategy by end of November.
Yeah.
All things going well.
Yeah.
But that's the deadline we're working to, and we'll bring that to the board obviously.
Okay.
Yeah.
In terms of the draft, they come to us and look similar.
Yeah, well, hopefully we'll be in a position to bring you something before Christmas. We've also teed up some engagements with the likes of Wakata Tainui and Future Proof, but just as placeholders for now, because we don't want to miss out on any opportunity for having those engagements. But we'll do that either at the start of Christmas or in the new year.
Okay.
In terms of your question, Tim, I think there will be an opportunity in early December for an informal session ahead of the board's formal consideration of receiving the draft.
Absolutely, definitely. Andrew, did you want to come
And the other element for that is the engagement with the shareholders forum of both of the councils, and we are planning how we do that as part of their induction. Absolutely, so that's very much top of mind.
So it's not a surprise.
Absolutely.
It was just that point. I strongly recommend
Yeah.
a deep dive session with the board before it goes.
Yeah, totally agree.
And we've got placeholders in for those.
Anything else? No? No? Look forward to seeing it. Very good. Yeah, thank you. And then we've got a report, again noted, no decision required. Now we have got a decision which is to adopt the proposed financial delegations. I just wanted a little bit of clarity, if that's okay, in terms of the three levels. Chief Officer's level 2, I'm assuming includes Andrew's role, but we need to be clear. I couldn't see it in the, so who is in that category and who's in category 3. I think we need the specifics there, so we're just 100% clear. Is that okay?
Yeah, so it would just be at this point, it's Andrew and Joanne Pass as chief officer.
Okay.
So they're just those two roles, but I can specify.
I think we noted in the minutes,
Yeah.
you know, as a matter of.
Becky, can I check if it would include Gary as the acting chief financial officer as well?
Yeah, so that was my other point, is that as we get other positions on board in terms
We
of,
might need to amend that.
yeah, so it's just whether or not we don't want to keep it open.
Yeah.
We want to specify.
Okay, and then the other question I had was, how do those delegations, for example, around capital expenditure or operating expenditure or reprioritisation, how does that compare with the council delegations now? You know,
It's
in
exactly the same.
the same,
Yeah.
right? Okay.
I think it would be wise to include the CFO in the list now.
Yeah.
So that he so certainly Gary's acting in that
Yeah,
role,
because
but-
we're recruiting, right? Yeah.
And he's doing stuff, so.
Okay.
So in terms of how it's worded, because it's a chief position, it will be within the delegation. Yeah.
But then a suggestion, subject to board agreement, I think we should alter the resolution to be very clear on the minutes to schedule out which roles are the level 2 roles.
Yes,
So
that's what I was really driving at.
It's the CFO, it's the chief digital officer, it's the chief strategy and delivery officer.
Yeah.
And then similarly for the director level 3, I think we
We
should
should be
specify those
specific.
roles.
Yeah,
Agreed. And for me, it's probably only the role held by Jackie Collier. I'm looking at Becca to either shake your head or nod.
I would also need delegation in terms of the operational budgets, yeah.
yeah, because Becca's approving a lot of things that will come to me, but I'm as acting chief executive, I'm a contractor at the moment, so we have to have somebody who can.
I would also recommend Natasha spec out for me as well in terms of payments and things like that,
Yeah.
and also Nicole, because she does have a budget line.
Okay, well, I think we need to, let's list them and be for completeness sake.
Sure.
So just to put this, the board agree so we can record it in the minute.
Yes,
For the directors, it'll be the wages names rather than roles, Jackie Collier, Becca Brock, Natasha Gerald, Nicole Moyer.
I'm more than happy to support the suggestion and for Kevin then to agree with the team who the names are and before they're appended, so I don't know if that's helpful.
and we can just report back at the next board.
Minutes, very happy with that, yeah, no issue, so it sounds very sensible.
Okay,
The only thing that, and I could be off track, sorry, Kevin, was around expenses. And I was actually thinking of protection for yourself.
Yeah.
Like who approves your expenses?
Yeah.
Because those are the, you get like, oh, well, what's the establishment expenses, and who signed off on the acting chair, et cetera. So I don't know if that was meant to be covered in this, or that's a different.
That's
policy.
not currently covered in that policy.
No.
As
Somewhere
per
else.
the letters of agreement with the board members,
Yes.
the executive director's expenses need to be approved by the remaining members of the board.
Okay.
So that's why we sought the board's approval when there was an expense
Yes. All good.
at a certain level. But whether there is an interest in us bringing something back, which means that we don't need to come to the full board every time, that could make it easier for you. I guess the question would be who the.
I think we should, I think for sake of completeness, we should, maybe what we should do is just take this out and come back as an action point for the next board just to make sure that going forward is properly covered. The reality at the moment is there's very little because I don't actually claim expenses. It's very occasional, so it's things like the water share event, which was approved by the other two board members. But going forward, when we've got a proper arrangement for next year, we do need a process in place for that, where there will be more regular claims. So I think it is, it's a minor issue, but we should definitely cover it off so that we've got.
The use of public money is a big issue for.
No, I agree.
Sure, I can bring something to the next board meeting
So,
to seek agreement
yeah.
on that.
All good,
Okay.
but otherwise what's there and the discussion 100%.
All right, any other points that anyone wants to raise on that? Thank you. And then I think we're in the public excluded now, aren't we?
So can we move the resolution to exclude the
Yes.
public and then I'll end the stream?
I'll move that.
Second.
So that's now agreed. Can we make sure we turn any webcasting off?
Yeah, give me one moment to do that.